Welcome to Leveling Up with Lindsay, the podcast where we dive into leadership, small business, and everything in between. I'm Lindsay, your host and the proud owner of White Peony Boutique, a space created to empower women, build confidence, and foster meaningful connections. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a mom, a friend, or someone just looking for a little inspiration, this is your space to feel seen, supported, and inspired. Join me as we share stories, strategies, and a little bit of life's chaos while navigating what it truly means to level up in starting a business, relationship, and personal growth. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfy, and let's level up together. On today's episode, we're going to talk about just being yourself and how authenticity plays a role in business, leadership, and service. So I'm so excited to introduce Benjamin Barrett here with me, who is a financial advisor, an active board member on the Indie Foundation, and an inspiring leader in our community. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
If there's anything about Ben, we've known each other for a few years now, and from different roles and different things. But if there's one thing that I love the most about Ben, what he brings to the table in his work, in his service, in his leadership, is you really lead with heart and passion. That's for sure. All right, Ben, can you share a little bit about your background? Let's talk about financial advising first. What led you to your career?
What led me to my career? It's a super interesting question because I left home at 18 to go play football. I went to college, but the primary thing was I was going to go play football. And I started with a degree in business, and I didn't know exactly where that was going to lead.
Sure.
And of all things, I failed a course in accounting. So I walked into my guidance counselor's office and I said, I'm done. I quit. I'm going home. I'm taking my ball. I'm going home. And her name's Ellen Schultz, still huge with me today. But she said, no, you're not. You didn't fail because you're dumb. You failed because you didn't try. And through that conversation, I got a double major in finance and economics and fell in love with telling the story of how to achieve your goals through money.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
What a great advisor, honestly, too. She really helped with your entire journey, right?
I was very well prepared to quit college and go be a construction worker. Nothing wrong with being a construction worker.
Absolutely.
But that's where I was headed.
So you graduate college. Then what happened next?
Then I had to go find a job, and I couldn't find one.
Really?
Yeah. So I did what I do now, which is I picked up the phone. And I started calling everybody I knew that had a job in the financial realm. And I picked up the phone to somebody I had actually written a paper about in college. And he said, Ben, you're going to hate this job, but I got a job for you. I said, that's fine. Just give me a job. Give me anything. And he got me there, and I moved up the ladder quick. I was being a consultant to financial advisors. They would say, hey, Ben, I've got a guy, and I would go find the solution.
Like you connect the people.
I would connect the dots for them.
I love that. That makes sense with your personality, too.
I saw great financial advisors, I saw average financial advisors, and I saw ones that I never wanted to be. A lot to learn from.
And then with the good, the bad, I bet you learned a lot too. So with what you learned from those, I'm sure there's some you looked up to and some that maybe you wouldn't. Like, tell me about that learning process a little bit.
It was so interesting because you could see when people were being true to who they were and true to their clients, they did things for the right reason, and it was never a sale to them. I know Jimmy and Susie so well that I'm going to put the best thing in front of them, just like it was my mom or my dad.
That's amazing. I have actually coached sales and flipping the script in my earlier career. We were very successful in what that looked like. It wasn't about the sales, it was about the people and connecting. That really hits home for me, and that's a whole different topic I could talk about for a long time.
So could I.
I think it's a great thing because it's genuine. When you want to get to know people, when you want to connect people, there's something really powerful about that. When, like you said,
Absolutely.
when you're doing business the right way. Tell me a little bit about that authenticity. How has that helped?
Authenticity is something that I struggled with. When I left being a consultant and I became an advisor, I struggled with it because I wanted to emulate the people I wanted to be, and I forgot who I was. Through the process of being a financial advisor, you had to figure out, is it about a sale? Is it about money? Where is it? And like you said to start the podcast, I lead with passion. If I'm not passionate about what we're talking about, everybody can see right through me.
Yeah, it's funny. When you lead, I look at you and I always like to say I'm an open book. And I kind of feel that with you a lot too. Like what you see is what you're going to get. I love seeing the real, true Ben, and I think you shine brighter because of it. I always say when you can, bring to the table Like, you hone in on your strengths, what you believe in, and your core values. And when you bring that to the table in how you do business or lead in the community or as a parent or as a spouse, when you hone in on those values and strengths, everything else is better because of it. And I feel like the universe listens. And,
Right.
The universe brings people to you that should be in your circle.
And it's unique because it took me a while. What you're saying is, I don't have to be everybody's cup of tea. I have to be me. What I found is that I don't have to be everybody's cup of tea, but I do have to be me. And I have to do things the way I do them and be authentic to me to bring the people I want to work with.
I love that. There's something, part of the reason I was so excited to have Ben here, you had said to me, you said, Lindsay, a conversation that we had changed the trajectory of my career. And I don't remember you said that. We were kind of in the run doing, I don't know if it was India or what it was. I was like, what does that mean? Talk a little bit about that, because it was so simple and something that I even overlook sometimes, like how important it is, but talk a little bit about that.
I love it. I can remember the night incredibly vividly. We were sitting at the Witt Gallery and we had a panel discussion with multiple entrepreneurs, and you were on it. Your passion for your business was so high that night, and you were so proud of everything that White Peony had accomplished. Me sitting in a chair watching you guys, I felt I just want to be them. And I'm trying so hard, and I'm working all the hours, making all the phone calls, and I couldn't figure it out. As I left that event, you walked out at the same time as me. I stopped you on the street and I said, Lindsay, great job, but how do you do it? Mm-hmm. What advice would you have for somebody starting out that doesn't feel like they are enough? And you looked at me and you said, just be yourself. Easiest thing in the world to do, but to me it was profound. From that night forward, my business took off like a rocket ship.
I love that. Honestly, as an outsider, getting to know you a little bit then, through the last few years, I would agree. I see Benjamin Barrett in the community doing what you love, and I can feel the passion. I can see the genuine you. I am so lucky to work alongside Ben at the Indie Foundation on the board of directors, and we can get on these kicks with conversation about how passionate we are on certain topics. But it's genuine. It is very genuine, and we often get on these topics, and I think it's really fun and fulfilling.
My wife always tells me when I go to an indie event, she's like, you're so much of a better man when you come back. It's because it is what I genuinely love to do. I get to help people every single day. And is my job at the Indie Foundation to help spread the word of us? Absolutely.
So tell me a little bit, like, having said that, how do you think just being yourself translates into leadership? So you said your career took off. You come home a better person being part of the Indie Foundation. So just being yourself and truly honing in on what makes Ben, translate that into leadership.
Every room you walk into, you have eyes on you. Doesn't matter who you are, people are watching you. When you're true to who you are, your shoulders are lifted up, you're rolled back, your head is held high, and people know that the words that come out of your mouth are true and honest.
And genuine.
Mm-hmm. When those words come out and people can see it in your body language as well as your words, they listen. You're influencing. Yeah. You can't fake confidence.
I agree.
I guess technically you can for a little bit, but in the long run, people will find it.
You're right. You can fake it till you make it on a day-to-day,
Yeah, that's what I mean.
On a day or a moment. Like, fake it till you make it is a strong phrase. But actually, contrary to fake it till you make it, it's like you work and you show up. Fake it till you make it is one thing, but honestly, it is that authenticity that truly matters. And sometimes you have to be vulnerable and open and honest to say, like, today is an off day, or I don't have that answer for you, or I'm not to that level yet, but I'm going to get there. So tell me, like, with your business and that journey and growing in your business and leadership and just gaining confidence, what does that look like?
Every opportunity and everything that I say I don't know to, or let me find that answer out for you, is an opportunity. You either get to make up something that you don't know is 100% as accurate, or you can go back and find it and learn it. You're not going to become a master overnight. Go learn it and deliver it with confidence.
It is the work that you do. So, being authentic and genuine, I'm going to repeat that many times throughout this interview, is one thing. We just talked a little bit about fake it till you make it, but actually it's not that. It's putting the work in. I think to step up to the plate in your most confident self first is honing in on your values and your strengths and what that looks like. It is doing the work.
one foot in front of the other. It's the work done to build your own confidence, to build your own background in whatever career that looks like or whatever you're doing. It's to do the work in your personal life as well. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. You have to do the work in your personal life. You have to do the work. So at the end of the day, you show your growth when the lights turn on. You're not going to be a master at what you do right away. Nobody's asking you to be that. But what they are telling you is that the work you do in the dark shows up when the lights are on.
100%. Let me ask you this. What advice would you give to someone who feels pressure to fit in instead of embracing their true self? Like for someone with your journey and wanting to fit in, wanting to be that picture of what you thought a financial advisor had to be at that point, what advice would you give to someone to embrace their true self and really hone in on their confidence?
Remember who you are and why you started the journey.
Your why. That's a good one.
Just because you emulate somebody and just because you look up to somebody, we all have our flaws.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So be you and be true to you, because people will follow when you're being true.
I love that. Let's talk a little bit. I didn't even have this in my mind till you just said this, but I do love it. We all have our flaws.
We
and
do.
Sometimes that's a little scary and you're vulnerable and this and that. And tell me, like, day to day in your career, in your personal life, there are hiccups. Like, how do you manage that? Because, you know, as a financial advisor too, as a dad.
Well, I got
cute
plenty of
little
those.
kiddos, as a husband, how do you manage that and still lead with confidence?
When it comes to my flaws or things that I've made a mistake on, I am the first one to tell you that's my fault. I don't hide from anything. So I have employees, right? Even if my employee makes a mistake, that's my fault. I'm not one to ever shy away from that because we need to make it right.
I think you can always make something right, but I think it's very important to be real and honest.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I think the greatest leaders own up to mistakes.
Absolutely.
I think the greatest people, we've talked about this in other podcast episodes, but to be very mindful of forever and continuing your own development, but also you're very mindful of, you know, the mistakes or maybe shortfalls. I think there's always room to learn from little hiccups. And then
there is.
and then to grow from that. There's a lot of lessons learned that I think make us the people we are today.
Correct. And I think the flaws are what make things who we are, right?
Yeah.
This might be breaking free from the podcast, but my grandfather was buried. We had to go get a cremation box.
Sure.
And we walked through and we saw this one in the back and it had scuffs. It was bronze. You could see that it was supposed to be beautiful, but it had obviously fallen off the truck and it had scrapes and scratches. And every one of us looked at each other and we go, that's his.
Really? That's awesome.
Because our lives put scratches in us and we change and we get better. But that's who makes us us.
Yeah, your legacy. Your legacy is built. I didn't even think legacy was going to come part of this, but I love that you had. Thank you for sharing that, because I do believe that, you know, our confidence journey, our genuine life journey, that's what our legacy is about, you know? Like, I think it's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. But I do think standing confidently in thinking about what your legacy left behind is going to look like. Thank you for bringing that up, because that is one of the more powerful things that I think about a lot. Thanks to my grandfather, who is a profound individual in my life. So confidence, legacy.
It all matters.
Here is a common denominator, I think, in the world that some people don't like to talk about, but many people struggle with imposter syndrome, especially in leadership. Ben, have you ever experienced imposter syndrome? And if so, what pushed you through?
Yeah. Every person who's pushed their comfort zone has found themselves in a position to have imposter syndrome, right? You think about the term, if you feel like you're the smartest person in the room, go find a new room. Well, every time you find a new room,
You get nervous.
You get nervous and you're like, why am I here? They're so much better than me. They're so much bigger than me. Their businesses are better. And for me, it's every time I found myself in that next room. I spent the last 5 years going to find new people and have conversations and introduce myself to people and have had it. But where imposter syndrome comes in, you just don't feel good enough. I'm not them. They've had a business for 20 years. Their revenue is X and mine's only Y. They do all of this great things and I'm not them.
Sure.
And the only thing that ever pushed me through was I'm in the beginning of my story.
Oh, I love that.
Nobody expected me to be on chapter 20 when I'm on page 5.
one foot in front of the other based off what you had said, the trajectory of your career, is something that I hone in on with imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome for me has come in different waves and in different forms. I remember the very first day I became a loan officer at the credit union I worked at, to an executive career, to owning a business. And actually, it's something that came from my mom's advice. She said, Lindsay, just be yourself. And, there are times imposter syndrome sometimes will trick your brain into thinking that you're not good enough, or thinking that you're not smart enough or funny enough or tough enough. But when my mom's like, just be yourself, and they'll see. So then I had to turn to myself. I had to look in the mirror, whether you look in the mirror, and you have to think, like, what makes me unique? And this is hard. Okay, I'm going to do this for myself. Actually, this is off the script. We don't have a script really, but I'm going to do this to myself, and then I would love you to do this to your own self. Okay. So if I look in the mirror, and even through young Lindsay till now, who's still young, by the way, I am not old. If I look in the mirror at young Lindsay, today Lindsay, and I would say, what gets me through that imposter syndrome, and to try to hone in on like kind of turning that confidence key a little bit. Here's what even unconfident Lindsay says to myself. This is what I bring to the table. I have a huge heart. I definitely lead every day with passion, and that's something not everybody carries. I'll say I have a big heart. I want to do good things. I'm a good person. I want to make the right decisions. I'm not here to shortcut anybody. I'm not here to ill will anybody. I am a good person. I'm really freaking motivated. Those are three things that, I've had to tell myself in different ways. Sometimes, your voice is shaky, but you're like, no, I am doing the right, I'm one foot in front of the other, and I might not have all the answers, but I am here to do the right thing, period. And sometimes that's all I have to do for me to kind of remind myself. And again, that was from younger Lindsay days till today, through different times. I had that voice kind of in my head. I had to remind myself that. So if you, Ben, had to work yourself through a little bit of imposter syndrome, whether you're looking in the mirror or not, young Ben till today, what would you say to yourself? What do you bring to the table?
I genuinely care about people and their success.
I agree with that.
I'm willing to listen more than I talk.
Love that.
And that third one, at the end of the day, I want you to be the best version of you.
Selfless.
It's not about me. My career's never been about me. It's how do I make you great?
That's a really powerful leadership statement. Sometimes when you're walking in a room with someone who's been in business 20 years versus Ben, who's been in, how long have you been a financial advisor?
We're going on 6, yeah.
Has it been? Okay. And that's a profound amount of time. It doesn't matter the time frame, but depending on where you're at in your day, sometimes you have to remind yourself of that. And I think that really helps with your confidence.
Certainly. I think you remind yourself about those 3 things. They stick true no matter what, whether you're at a peak or a valley. If you can stick to those 3 things and look at yourself, what do I bring to the table and what am I good at? It doesn't matter your industry, your length of time in the business. Are you at an all-time high and or an all-time low? Mm-hmm. If you can look at yourself and say, I care about your success. It's more about you than it is about me, and I will always listen to you. Those hold true in every moment in my business.
And every aspect of your life, really.
And any aspect of my life.
I love that. So those, powerful statements to kind of hone in on, but also, like, what habits have helped you stay grounded with who you are?
I've got a 5'4" person who won't let me say anything different. My wife is my biggest cheerleader, but she's also the person that whenever I stray from my authentic self, she's the first one to make sure that I'm aware of it. And I would never be here without her. She's number one, right? That's, you can call it, she's not a habit, she's my wife, but that's number one. Number 2 is at the end of every month, when I look at things in terms of business, so at the end of every month, what did we do, what good did we do, and why did we do it? And that helps me reflect back to my 3 points.
Sure, I love that. Surrounding yourself with the right people, step 1, and kind of reflection, I think, would be great.
Correct. If you really want to talk about it in that sense, it's who do you surround yourself with? What voices are you hearing? Are you hearing good voices that do things for the right reason, that align with you? Or are you listening to the people that are cutting the corner? Well, you always say, like, I won't cut a corner and I'm going to do things the right way. And we have this conversation about perfection.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But if I'm listening to somebody that is not a perfectionist or is okay with cutting a corner, then I'm not going to reflect back positively on myself.
Okay. I like that. And I kind of have my own way of where this could go, but Team Ben, you talked about having your wife as your backbone to ground you and say, hey, you, be you. But also, like, Team Ben, who do you surround yourself with specifically?
It's a great question. One of my best mentors is a financial advisor. He's out of Oregon.
Sure.
And I used to sell to him. When I became a financial advisor myself, he calls me at 10 o'clock in the morning or 2 in the afternoon. It's 2-hour time. He either calls me at 8 a.m. his time or noon. And we talk on the phone probably 3 days a week. And he helps me understand, what are you doing and how are you benefiting it? So he's probably my number one mentor, somebody in the same industry as myself. Then I surround myself with really good business owners. Me and you talk on a regular basis.
Yep.
Kayla Keenan, the founder of Indy, talk on a regular basis.
Yep.
Wendy Gilk out of Gilk Services. Oh my gosh, she is one of the best business owners I've ever met. So I talk to her every week.
I'm going to have to meet Wendy.
Oh, you're going to need to meet her. She is one of the best business owners and the kindest souls and so true to herself. But I talk to her on a regular basis. But how I do that is with flexibility. Not every person has the ability to do that. But once a week, I get together with other business owners and we have a genuine conversation. What's good, what's bad, what's ugly, what do we need help with? And we have these really in-depth conversations, but it helps you put everything in perspective that no matter your business or where you're at in life, we all are dealing with the same things.
You're not wrong. Actually, I was going to ask you, so, I agree. There's nothing, obviously, hence the podcast, that I love more than talking business with anybody. I love it. I could sit for hours and talk about leadership. I could talk about starting a business. I could talk about it all. But, tell me a little bit about on a personal level. Who are the people that you surround yourself with? And this isn't a trick question. I'm very curious. I think it's a little different for everybody, but even for myself, I have an incredible tribe of people from all different walks of life. I think it kind of, for me, depends upon my truest friends are the most amazing humans on earth, but you do on a personal level. I have my closest go-to best friends that you tell everything to and look for advice. There are my group of friends that I know we're going to talk about leveling up individually, and on a professional level, we're going to go there. Personally, I love meeting with other leaders in the area because I know that I'm going to be inspired and I know that this conversation is going to go too long. There's a little bit of everything for me. I feel so grateful for I think everyone's tribe is a little bit different. And it's kind of, I would be curious to know who you surround yourself with and for someone else.
That's awesome. My closest friends are people that know everything about me.
Sure.
But number one, why they've retained, most of my best friends have come from college, but why they've stayed my best friends is they're deeply committed to their family.
I love that.
We're all mild workaholics.
Did you all play football together?
We all played football
Did
together.
you?
We were 7 of us that lived in a 5-bedroom house.
Oh boy.
And we were all offensive and defensive linemen. Great picture.
I don't even want to know what that smell in that house was like.
Not pretty, but those men, they were boys. We met as boys.
Sure.
We turned into men. And if you look at the 7 of us, families first.
That's crazy.
Asking for something more out of our life is second. And we're all dads at this point, so we're all really good dads. So you walk into my office, that picture of all of us, our wives and our children, hangs in my office. And people go, are those your brothers?
Close.
Pretty much.
Close. Do you guys get together? This is off a little bit of a tangent on a personal level, but do you get together with all your kids, wives, like all of you?
Yeah, there's 2 of us that live in the same neighborhood.
Oh, really?
So on Labor Day every year, we all get together. And so we all get together in the backyard, grill everything up, and everybody's family comes together.
Throwing footballs everywhere.
Oh, yeah. A game of wiffle ball breaks out, and it's very competitive.
Do you guys still got it?
No.
I love it. I don't know if maybe you did know this about me, but I didn't play sports in college, but I really wanted to. And my journey actually stopped for different reasons. But anyways, I love playing basketball. That was my entire life. Growing up, 360 days of the year, I'd be playing basketball. Now, my children are playing sports. I did play softball. I did play volleyball. That was just my life was sports. And now that the kids, I'm older, it's been a while since I've really played. They stop believing that I ever played a sport. I'm like, listen here.
I am athletic. I can do this.
It actually motivated me to okay, now it's time. I played co-ed softball for a little bit, and there were a few reasons why I stopped doing some of the things, but I'm so competitive. One of my old teammates, he was a college coach for a long time in a different sport, and said to Haley, he said, is Lindsay your mom? And she goes, yeah. And he goes, she was a stud in high school. And I said, see? I don't got it. I do not have it now, but I did, little girl.
That's
I'm
hilarious.
just kidding. It's just kind of funny because I think with sports, it's incredible what that does for you.
Yeah.
You know, that's a whole other talk, but it's incredible that it's like connected with you till this day.
I don't necessarily know if it is another talk though.
Yeah,
so
that's
so
true.
with sports and being your true self and where that ever has come through, if you walk into a locker room
Yeah.
with people that you have, whether it was basketball that you've run killers with, or
Yeah.
you've been out in the heat in August and on a football field,
Sure.
if you come in and you're lip service and you don't believe it and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing,
Amen.
you can't get away with it.
You're right. Do you think so? You know, for you and I both lead with very passionate hearts. We love connecting with people. Maybe that stemmed from some of our sports days growing up. Maybe that's kind of where we learned to move forward in passion.
I
Don't you
think it is, because when you're trying to lead a group of athletes, it's a complete different animal.
It is.
They need to know that you are fully there and you're invested just as much as they are.
Yeah. Well, that is going to be a whole the next podcast, Ben and I are talking sports. We're going to be like our own little sports podcast for an hour.
I could.
I love that. We're down to the bottom here. All right, here's a tricky one. I've got a good question. Ben, how do you handle moments when being yourself feels a little bit uncomfortable or risky? Have you walked in a room where you're a little bit like clammed up?
It's a great question. Earlier on, I talked about how we have to go into rooms that we don't always feel comfortable in, right? And hair stands up on the back of your neck and you're just like, oh my God, why am I here?
Nervous
I'm
and
just
sweating.
nervous. So is the loud, passionate, goofy, intense person going to succeed in this room? In those rooms, I don't hide who I am, but I do sit back and I observe. And I am intensely curious in those moments.
Sure.
I will be the first to ask 15 questions before I talk. It's not to hide who I am. It's to figure out where I fit,
I love that.
and then I can be who I truly am.
I think that's a good point. I think as an individual, as a leader, it's important to, like you said, you're really good at listening. That's a really strong skill. And that is advice I think that you and I should give to anybody. I think everyone can always work on their listening skills and become a better listener, whether we're caught up in the moment, having the best time in our lives, personal, professional, or when we're going through a rough patch. But it is so important to hone in on your listening skills. So you're walking into a room, and I think that is very, there's nothing wrong with that in any way, shape, or form. And I think that more people would connect if everyone kind of did take a moment to listen. I like that you're mindful of it. I love that you know that that's how you're looking at it. I was just at a sports camp this weekend, and it was like a recruitment camp, and it was a D1 school. And it was a question and answer for all the campers. One of the players had asked, how do you handle being nervous? You know what? I thought the best answer from one of the D1 players was they have triggered their brain to think that their nervous is excitement. So they said there isn't a moment that you don't step on a D1 turf or field or whatever that looks like that you aren't playing the best of the best in all of the nation.
Right.
And that goes to show, I think, with business, there isn't a moment where you as a financial advisor aren't walking into a room sitting with the best of the best. For me, as a boutique owner or a leader in this community with other businesses, there isn't a moment that I'm not sitting in a room with the best of the best or the best of the best customers.
Right.
So for me, I actually took this player's advice a little bit, and I was like, next time I'm on stage and I'm nervous, I'm triggering this into complete excitement. And I think that is going to change everything for me. But I love that you are so mindful about walking in a room and being okay with saying, I'm going to listen first, and then I'll pave my way.
Well, to piggyback off what you just
Sure.
said about there's always the best, right? You're
Yep.
the best. In my profession, whether somebody's trusting me with $5,000, $500,000, or $5 million, that's a lot of money to them. And it's my job in those scary moments to be someone that listens, to take my nervousness about that's their money and create excitement for them for their future.
I love that. I'm going to flip the script with what you just said now. Okay.
Okay.
So you're talking from a financial advisor perspective in the severity and the importance of dealing with someone's money. Well, as a consumer, if I were to walk into your office, I got to be honest, and I do this today. Like if I were to come sit down at your desk and say, I have this dollar amount, I have no idea what I'm doing. Let's just say this conversation was new. And I would walk in as a consumer nervous, right?
Yeah.
I would walk in scared. I would walk in nervous. I would love to take just a little minute for you as a financial advisor to give advice on how I, as someone coming in to sit at your desk, would work through those nerves.
Great question. It's like you do a podcast for a living. Or you're a store owner too, but podcast too. Well, as a consumer coming into a financial advisor's office, I can only speak for myself, right? Is to know that we're going to ask more questions than we are going to talk. In that first encounter with you, I call it, let's lay out your medical records. So you go to your general practitioner, right? You haven't seen them in a new, let's say you move towns and you go to a new general practitioner. They don't know anything about you. And you come to me upset, you say you have a headache. They have two options. Go home, take an Advil, or refer you to a brain surgeon. And the same is with me. I need to ask questions to figure out where you're going and to put your mind at ease about the process. What's the process look like? What's the dollar figure look like? Unpack what your goals are and unpack what your past is with money, right? I had a father who was always broke, not broke, but always said he was. I had the other side of my family where either we were eating steak or eating bologna. There was no in between. Commissioned parents. That's how it ran.
Okay.
So I have to unpack what you're working towards, where we're headed, what your past is with money, and why we're here. But that's a lot of questions on my side where I'm asking for you to give me a glimpse into you so I can give you the best advice possible.
So I would say for advice or someone coming to sit at your table, it's less pressure on the individual coming in and sitting down. You're alleviating the pressure on their shoulders, and you're genuinely curious on getting to know them, to connect with them, to make this process easier. If someone was going to come in, I believe that dealing with someone's financial situation can be very scary. But I believe when you are who you are, Ben, and you're so good at connecting with people, just sending that message out there, find a good fit for someone who you trust that is going to listen and connect with you, right? And try to eliminate, that's where the stress kind of goes away. Am I wrong?
The stress, I think, is there's more of a stigma in the profession that people are there to sell you on stuff.
There you go.
And I'm not one to say that some people aren't there to sell you
Sure.
on stuff, but when you're looking for the right fit for you and your financial situation, find somebody who cares about who you are and where you're going.
Mic drop. Mic drop. This couldn't have come full circle in what you just said and in your business because of that, just being yourself. But genuinely caring about others, I think, is what makes you such a good financial advisor. It's what makes you such a great leader in the community, and it makes you an incredible board member on the Indie Foundation.
Well, thank you.
So on that note, do you have any thoughts, final words, or anything, words of encouragement for anybody listening right now?
Well, when you asked me to be on this, I was reading a book to my son, and you had sent me a text while I'm reading a book to my son, and it's from the Peanuts. And on the last page, I'm actually pull it up here. I have to do this because it feels so true to every single person. It says on the last page of this book, so take this to heart. The best thing to do is be the kindest and bravest, most wonderful you. You don't have to get more complicated than that. Be yourself, and people will be drawn to you.
I love that. The universe literally was speaking at the perfect moment for us to come together on this podcast. As he's reading this book, and I ask him, and then he sends that to me, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. It was meant to be. So meant to be. All right. First of all, just want to thank you. I love having conversations with Ben. Like I said, give us a microphone, and the rest is history.
There we go.
We'll probably do this again. I hope we can do this again.
For sure.
But until then, where can people find Ben? If they want to learn a little bit more from you, if they want advice, if they want to see what your journey is next, how can they follow you?
You can follow me on Facebook, Benjamin Barrett, or LinkedIn. LinkedIn, I do a lot more of motivational stuff, Monday morning mindset, just kind of what's on my mind on Mondays. Try to be insightful. LinkedIn, Facebook are two great ways to do it. Or Google Ben Barrett Financial Advisor, you'll find me.
Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Thank you for listening. If you found this information helpful, please share it with a friend. If you're looking for more information on the topics we covered, please head to the show notes below. And if you wouldn't mind leaving a 5-star rating and review, this would help this mission and our journey to get started. Let's make today and every day an opportunity to level up. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep striving, and keep making a difference.